Greetings all, my name is Jason Colyer, Support Operations Manager here at GitLab, and today we're going to go over how to perform an audit on Zendesk Global. So let me share my screen and we'll get started. So everything's going to start with an issue in the audits project. You'll go over to your issues, click new issue. You're going to choose the correct template. In this case, we're doing regular Zendesk Global. Make sure we apply it. And the issue template itself will tell you exactly what to do, from the title of the issue to assign it to yourself, to assign it, to complete it, and all that fun stuff. You'll notice here there's the notes, and it says enter notes here. Now, it used to be the way we did this was to manually go review everything in Zendesk. That's a lot to do as this company is scaled. So because of that, what we ended up doing was making scripts to use instead to get this information. So here we have the Zendesk Audit script. I'm going to kind of go over this script and what it does, and then I'll show you how to run this on your local computer, and then what the output looks like and how to copy and paste that into an issue, and so on and so forth. So to get started, this is using Faraday, OJ, OpenURI, and YAML. And the YAML is going to be used to read the support team YAML file, Faraday and OJ to request from both Zendesk and GitLab.com, OJ to parse that in a nice, easy format to use, and OpenURI to, again, make another request. Now, what we've done here is first we define the client. We do this by using a new Faraday connection. We're going to make sure it's URL encoded, use the default Faraday adapter, and then give it the basic authentication of the Zendesk username / token, and then the actual token itself. We're also going to make the request function, which is going to take an HTTP method, the endpoint, and any parameters we want to give into it, and then it'll do a public send on that and give us the OJ response, which is going to be nice, parsed, easy to work with. Now, because we're using Zendesk and we know the roles that we're actually working with, we've predefined the roles to make it even easier for this. The ID numbers and the role name themselves be super easy when we run the script to kind of just check with that. For the GitLab client, we're using a new Faraday connection. We're doing it with the default adapter to our encoded, and all we're sending here is the private token in the headers of the GitLab token. And here we have a function called support team YAML. All this is doing is making a request to the support team YAML file in raw format, getting it back from that, and then using YAML to safe load that. For engineers, we're basically just making a nice variable that we can call that is the entirety of the support team YAML file's content in YAML parsed format. Now, for the actual notes here, we've got a function that starts as an empty array, and it's going to essentially push different variables, different values to it. It's going to do name comparisons, Zendesk ID comparison, group comparisons, role comparisons. And unless the notes are empty, what it's going to do is combine them into comma-separated issues. If they are empty, it's just obviously going to put out an empty string in this case. Now, the name comparison is actually pretty simple. All it's doing is saying, Zendesk says your name is this, the support team YAML file says this, are they the same? If they're not, it's going to report that there's a name mismatch. The Zendesk ID is doing the exact same thing. It's comparing the Zendesk ID to what we have from the support team YAML file. Groups are basically doing the same thing. What it's doing is sorting the groups from Zendesk, sorting them from the support team YAML file, and unless those are exactly the same array, we've got a group mismatch. Roles are just like the name and Zendesk ID. It's comparing two values, one from Zendesk and one from support team YAML. Now, what we're going to have this do is we're actually going to make queries to Zendesk doing a search, but we're going to pull all the agents with the role admin, and we're just going to keep looping through this query using a new next page value to get all the admins. Now, traditionally, it only has to run this once. We don't have a lot of admins. That's by intention. We don't want a bunch of admins that get hard to manage. But essentially, all this is going to do is give us all the admins, which we're calling users in this case. So from the next part, we're doing a loop through all the users, and we're including the groups on the user, and we're doing a request on each user's ID number. That way we can get information about them. We're making sure that we set the users groups to the groups, the role to the actual role, and you'll notice I've kind of got something custom here, and the reason for that is There is some weirdness with administrator of it's not really a role, but it also is. We also have a couple, such as like myself, who is owner, so they're weirdly both an admin but not an admin. It's going through all of these users and basically saying, you know, if they're a light agent, go ahead and push them to the light agents. If they're an admin, push them to the admin. If not, push them to agent. So what we've essentially done so far is grabbed every agent user of Zendesk, which is a non-end user, and put them into variables. From this point forward, essentially all we're doing is outputting various things based on this data. Now, when it comes down to the admins and the agents, we're going to do a read on them, do comparisons, get that notes that we talked about earlier, and print all that out. But that's what the rest of this is doing, and then it's going to end again with more output. It looks like a lot, but when you actually see it in play, it's not. But it also is. It is a lot of output data, but the script itself is just making this easy on you. Now, when you first kind of get into the repo and you're on your command line and all that, there's some things you need. The first to start with is you need Ruby. In this case, I've got Ruby installed. I'm on 2.6.2, which if we cat the .ruby version file, that's exactly where we should be. From there, you need the gem bundler. So, I can do gem list, local, grep-i, bundle. There's bundler right there. So cool. So what I can do is just run bundle. And this is going to read the gem file and install all the things we need for all the audits we're doing. Now, from here, you would / the bin folder, and then you want to run the Zendesk Audit script. Now, I'm not going to in this video because the script will take a substantial amount of time, easily at least 10 minutes to run. It's got a lot of data to go through. The easier way to look at this is to go over to this other tab I've got, and you can kind of see how it's already run. We've got a ton of data here. Got a ton of data information here. A lot of these are like all the light agents that we have and all this various information. What you would do is copy every bit of this, and it's a lot. You're going to copy all of this down to the very bottom line. You'll copy it, and then you'll paste it into your issue. Now, to give you an example of what that would look like, let's locate a past issue. And here's the Zendesk audit done most recently. You can see how this beginning part looks exactly like the template, but from there, we're going to have a bunch of new information that we get added, all the light agents, admins, and agents. But from the admins and agents data, once you've pasted in your issue, you've submitted it, so it's all there, you can then look for any of the issues that it says need to be resolved and go through each of them, ping that person via the issue, and try to get this issue resolved. If it's something as simple as a support team YAML mismatch, and you see why it's mismatching, you can go ahead and just submit the merge request yourself to fix it. It's often quicker. When you get to the API token part, which you will have to do manually in Zendesk, you will have to go grab what every API token is. You're going to need to decide if this should be there or not, if it can be removed. If it is, we're removing it. If not, what is it being used for? This will take time to kind of learn. And the longer you work in Zendesk, the more you'll just know what tokens are, why they're there, et cetera, et cetera. So feel free to reach out to your fellow support ops team members or myself if you need assistance with that. But that's really all there is to doing an audit. From this point forward, it's communicating the issue with the people that were mentioned in the various output and figuring out what to do. Once this is all done, you can mark it as completed, close it out, and that is all there is really to it. It is a lot, and again, that script does take a tremendous amount of time to run, but currently we have something like 500 plus light agents. We're only going to keep growing, so you can imagine how manually copying just the light agents would take you a substantial amount more time than 10 to 15 minutes. But yeah, I hope you found this educational. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.